And now, a 60-second speech completely improvised by Alex Knight about Roombas and the nefarious things they're planning.
Oh, the Roombas are doing such a good job planning their nefarious shit that I have no idea what they're planning. I had no idea they were up to anything at all. They're eating the change. Change does add up slowly. They're collecting pet DNA that could be used to turn into cloned awful mutant versions of our pets that could come and attack us. They're collecting our DNA so they can make clone versions of us. Let's see, they're eating string and stuff. They can make clothes. They're basically collecting all of the dregs of society, and dregs can be used to make all kinds of stuff. What are the Roombas planning? I mean, Roomba. Does that break down into anything? Ambura, is that something? I'll look up Ambura. I'll get to it, Sarah. I don't know.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Almost similarly, now a 1-minute riff by Sarah Kennedy about if you could be any inanimate object, what inanimate object would you be?
This is such an interesting thing to talk about because I've thought about this often. When I was little, my mom got this catalog out one time and she was like, catalog, that's how old this was. And she was like, pick the costume that you want to be for Halloween from these three. And it was a pumpkin, a bee, and a clock. And I immediately said clock. And she thought for sure I was going to say pumpkin. And it was a trick. And she picked the pumpkin anyway. And I was a pumpkin that year. But I would never pick to be a pumpkin as an inanimate object. I would, in fact, pick to be a clock. I think a clock is helpful. I think a clock is, even when it's broken, it's right twice a day. And you know what? It would be great. It would be a great way to kind of fill that mind gap that started when I was little and I didn't get to be a clock then. So, and plus, one of the best characters from Beauty and the Beast. So a clock is
10 seconds.
Thanks.
Yeah, good. It's broom.
Broom.
That's Roomba has broom in there, I think. That's the joke.
Yeah, a broom.
So they're doing comedy too, Sarah, behind our backs.
Those Roombas are coming from our job.
That's got to be it, right?
Yeah.
It's got to have the word broom in there. All right. I figured it out. Well, thank you for that prompt because I just did some work on my own and learned about life. Clocks are cool. And clocks are a very important part of your career right now. They're there telling you, they're like your guideposts. They're saying a couple more minutes, you're almost done, or this or that. Yeah.
Comedy's all about timing.
It sure is. Clocks.
All right. Let's get started.
All right. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv and stand-up collide. And now, here's your hosts, Alex Knight and Sarah Kennedy.
Oh, hey.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition. This isn't going to work. The comedy podcast where the yarmulke of improv and the bill of stand-up become the baseball hat of comedy.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a non-religious hat that doesn't have a bill.
Like a beanie?
Yeah, because even, what is the one that the Shriners Works, even that one feels like it's linked to something. Yeah, that feels like it's not my culture.
Yeah. I would love to see a fez with a bill on it. That would be, it's too much. It's like a hat on a hat.
Yeah.
I'm Sarah, by the way. I'm a stand-up comedian.
Yes, I'm Alex Knight. I represent the world of improv comedy.
Amazing. So we've got a really interesting episode today, Alex. You found something on Reddit, and I thought, we could kind of dive into it because it really is the crux of this whole episode.
It's the whole thing. It's our whole podcast has been turned into a Reddit thread.
Yeah, it's true. 6 months ago, before we even came up with the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, not around then, but yeah, all right.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me pull it up and grab it, and we'll. How do we do that in here?
And then I already pulled some choice quotes, too many choice quotes. So I have cherry picked these a little bit because, it's funny to take the thing that we're politely talking about and then to throw it on the internet where people can just tear into it.
Yeah. So it's this. Why do stand-up comedians shit all over improv? And then, like, yeah, the person who posted this, the bomb 999. I'm assuming a longtime listener of this podcast also
Yes, of
is.
course.
I listen to a lot of comedians' podcasts, and I've noticed that the thing that they do is they go out of their way to let everyone know how much they hate improv. For somebody who doesn't know much about the world of comedy, how come improv gets such a bad reputation?
So even before that starts, I'd like to ask you, do you probably, I would assume, listen to more stand-ups discuss their careers and stuff. Is there a lot of shitting on improv on those? I've heard like a tiny bit of it.
I mean, I don't know if I mean, I probably don't listen to a lot of comedy podcasts because
So you're doing it?
I don't find a lot of joy in comedy. But I do. I've heard it. It's one of those things, especially like in New York and stuff like that. People were always, and when I go out of town to other places, people like Denver sometimes kind of also has a thing. Or yeah, but
because I certainly do not, again, going back to this whole thing, I don't feel it in our community at all. I have never heard any of my improvisers say anything about the stand-up, but I've never heard stand-ups really talk shit about improv. Maybe it happens a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it is super present in our community. But
Sure.
it exists in these other communities, I think.
Yeah, I haven't figured. I mean, there's times where I'll be talking with improvisers, or like kind of will be in the lobby down on Second and Gold, and I never get the impression that there was like animosity, but I do think that sometimes stand-ups are a little scary to improvisers. But
again, I think that's like the cigarettes. It's the cigarettes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just out in front, looking all cool.
Yeah, they do, and then they flip coins and they play dice. Yeah,
you guys are nuts.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about some of the quotes. Who had?
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I'm just going to start reading some of these. Stand-up comedy is inherently ego-driven and self-assertive. The goal of improv is self-transcendent surrender to the group. Stand-ups perceive this as being happy, clappy bullshit that flies in the face of their more combative training and professional goals. More simply, most stand-ups want to be considered cool in some sense, whereas only any good improviser will tell you there's no cool in this dojo.
Is that what you tell your students?
It's
say
important that they know no cool in this dojo. I like this guy said, I walked in on the last 10 minutes of an improv show and was halfway through writing a suicide note by the end. I mean, don't ever go to improv late. Don't do that. Late. You need you're part of the show. And so he walked in late to the show. He was supposed to be helping make the 10 minutes that he missed, and he wasn't there or whatever.
Right. I mean, the last 10 minutes, if it's a long form show, then it's all callbacks. So
yeah. I like this guy. I mean, I agreed, blah, blah, blah. Just because I teach and think it's life-changing, just because I teach improv and think it's life-changing, is life-changing. I also enjoy making fun of it. It is indeed fucking lame. Two things can be true. And I kind of feel that way too. Like improv is stupid. It's also amazing, transcendent, important.
All right, let's go back to that first quote that you had very specifically, that it's like ego-driven and
self-assertive. Yeah. That seemed like it rubbed you.
It didn't rub me. No, I think that's exactly right. There it is. I found it. The goal of improv. We've talked about this a lot, though, where it's like very self-assertive. Do you know what I mean? And when we're talking about stand-up, and you really are working on like transcending the self in improv, and I think that really nailed the difference between the two, probably to its core.
Yeah, and I do think there is a little gentle hippie mentality about improv that can be like, cut it out. Cut it out. Like if you're not buying into any sort of utopia, then it's easy to shit on it. But if you drink the Kool-Aid, then
yeah. I do like the response down here. It's like, oh, look at me. Haha, I'm a horse now, but I'm also a bank teller. My parents love me, so I'm happy. That's bad improv. That's clearly it's not grounded in reality. It's not.
And this a couple of these people hit it pretty good for me, and they're not wrong. And you just kind of did too. It's like, I think my issue with improv is not that the jokes and bits can't be funny. It's most of these groups do the same form of acting, quote unquote, that feels extremely inauthentic and overly theatrical. They kind of, good day to you, sir, type of acting. I agree with that. And that has been my frustration with improv, actually, is that people don't take it seriously, that the acting is bad. It's like, why are you fake acting?
Yeah,
you're supposed to be acting now. Don't fake act. So I agree. A lot of the bad improv people see that is cringy and horrible is people doing this like fake acting. And I think that can work, and that can be a disservice to stand up too. When you see a stand up kind of bad act, it's like, I don't believe you, so why the fuck would I care?
I mean, that goes back to the stuff that we were talking about in the past episode too, where your least favorite thing about stand up is when somebody is acting like they don't understand a really simple concept. And so
same in improv. Yeah, if the bank teller is so stupid that it's, frustrating or whatever for you to watch.
can't help it, Alex. He's a horse.
He's a horse.
But I
At least with stand-up, here's what's all right. If the crowds aren't total assholes, you can at least step out of your act and address the fact that you're bombing. And you're going to have some self-respect back from the audience if they know that at least you have a measure of self-confidence. With improv, if you're bombing, you just have to keep bombing while also being a gay elephant. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
what kind of audience is saying you're like, I need an occupation, something like dentist
Gay
or
elephant.
gay elephant? I heard gay elephant.
Have you seen improvisers eat shit at an open mic, thinking they're going to be funny?
Where they don't prepare anything and they think they'll just get up on stage and riff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that happens a lot. They don't even have to be improvisers. A lot of people
Yeah.
have this idea in their head that getting up and the writing part of stand-up isn't necessary, and so they just get up on stage and just try to like go free range, and it lasts 30 seconds, and then they laugh at their own joke, and then they go and then they usually they last about 2 minutes or so. Although there are sometimes where I've seen people get up and just riff and murder it. So
yeah,
it's totally
this
possible.
person here breaks some of my my hot takes last week. So this quote has two things that bother me in it. He says, "Oh Christ, the number of times I've seen an improver eat shit at an open night because they thought they could improv a stand-up set is distressing." Yeah, just an improver.
I'm wondering if maybe that's the core of where a lot of the like animosity comes, is like if they try to cross-pollinate and you're stuck in your world and you're working so hard in yours and you just see this stranger come through with a completely different process and then not respect the work that's been put in, then maybe I could see. But I can see also, it bugs me when stand-up like comedians, also he said improvers, which is your least favorite. When stand-ups go to jams or when they are in 101 classes and they just think like, I'm going to say the funny thing and I'm going to do
it equally stinks. Yeah, it's equally weird to be doing. You're just doing the wrong thing. It's like, why are you sewing at this knitting circle?
You could, you should. That's completely different.
Here's this is like right up our alley too. Improv is the inverse of stand-up in that there is no scripted material and it's a team activity. A lot of stand-ups struggle with improv because they have to let go of their control and contribute to their team. A lot of improvisers struggle with stand-up because they aren't skilled at writing jokes.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are drawn to stand-up because it is a solo activity. It appears so, and then we've talked about this too on the podcast, where it's like I think it's actually better when you're part of a community, or you see it that way. Although I've had some comedians that I've been friends with who like will immediately call out anybody who calls the stand-up community a community. They're like, that's not. No, just because we all have the same hobby doesn't mean that we're
interesting.
A group of.
I don't want to be associated. Yeah, so interesting.
There's somebody in there too in the thread that says like, I'm sorry, but the second you break off and try doing crowd work, then you're doing improv. Yeah, and I think
it's so funny.
And
I like this one.
Viral.
What you're failing to understand is that stand-up is for big, super strong men, and that improv is bad because you might have supportive friends, and real men don't need friends.
Oh man, that's the Reddit is jumping out right now. That's.
I have met more than a few improv folks in Chicago, and most of them had psycho eyes. Is that something you've noticed?
No, I wonder what kind of eyes.
I don't know. I would say maybe they're looking for the validate me eyes, like begging for look at me eyes. Maybe
that's why I don't go to craft fairs, because all the people who have like brought out all their wares have like hopeful eyes, and I can't buy everything.
Tough. I can't. Yeah, our shows are tough. I like to sell at them. I don't like to look at people looking at me selling them. I'm one of the handful of people in my scene that has done both, and this has always confused me. It's almost a jocks versus nerds vibe, which is odd because if anything, it's nerds versus nerds. This might be because of things that happen in my local scene. It seems like management at improv clubs is scummier than that at stand-up clubs. That's got to be totally random. The idea of I don't think there is anything like improv managers are grosser than stand-up managers or anything, but maybe.
I'm trying to think, because like even in Austin, the improv theater I went to there was great. And
Yeah.
the Rise Theater in Denver is one of my favorite places to do
Those
stand-up.
those are smaller. Maybe by scummier they could mean the big corporation versions of it,
Oh.
because there isn't really big corporation stand-up. Like there's not monopolies, are there?
Not monopolies, but like the improv is like all over the country.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
There's
I forgot
name
that it is.
brands, but
Yeah, okay. Take it back.
do they think they're talking about like Second City and UCB, or what do you think?
Maybe. No, I'm sure this guy there was a creepy dude that ran an improv club in his town and he didn't like it. Who is Tony Hinchcliffe?
Oh, Tony Hinchcliffe is the guy who runs Kill Tony, which is like a really popular.
Oh, gotcha. Yes. Okay. It's usually the insecure types that can't pull off improv. Tony Hinchcliffe types who shit on it. They say.
Oh.
I don't know.
Which is funny too, because that show is about you get a minute of stand up and then you get kind of riff.
Then you talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Then it goes into some improv world for everyone. This was interesting. We had talked about this a little bit. Someone wanted to know, like, what if we took the most high achieving financial success people in both groups and compared them, and they only got halfway through the exercise. They only did the improvisers, but they still have like they're listing Ryan Reynolds, Ellie Kemper, Melissa McCarthy, Stephen Colbert, Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Amy Poehler, Will Ferrell. Did I miss any others? Kristen Wiig. Anyway, they're like $900 million worth or whatever
combined.
Combined.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I forget, like there are so many, like so many of these people are like Ryan Reynolds, not an improviser, but like roots in improv. I guess there's a lot.
Yeah, but the most achieving stand-ups are like Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Almost as much as that. So and then like Eddie Murphy is worth a lot of money because of everything and.
I mean, I guess it's just like it seems
Jerry Seinfeld is like because he owns an island or something like that's a joke in 30 Rock or
so maybe the stand-ups for sure because these are the best we can offer is like a Steve Carell and
Ellie Kemper came from actually I've heard that a lot is that improvisers are like they have rich parents and that stand-ups come from like a little bit more of a hard scrabble life.
I would agree. You got to pay for improv classes.
You have
to pay for your stand-up class. You just have to show up and get one drink at the bar or whatever.
Sometimes not even that.
Why does improv get shit on? Mostly because it sucks, and 99% of the people are sweaty tryhards that think they can overcome not being funny with energetic movement and yelling.
Do you ever break an improviser of that
100%. No,
okay.
I mean I agree. I try to teach that.
Yeah.
You got to cover up with energetic movement and yelling. Okay. All right. Stand-ups are purists and think improv comedy or prop comics rely too heavily on crutches instead of cleverness. But improv can be really hacky most of the time. Not shitting on improv, love it, and much respect for it. But you're just getting to laugh in the moment, but not showing your talent as a joke crafter. So I think it's kind of the same thing like electricians shit on plumbers, Marines shit on Army, vice versa, adjacent skill sets.
Is there a thing between electricians and plumbers?
Yeah, they hate each other, I guess. There's a bunch of podcasts about plumbers and electricians hanging out, though, and figuring it out.
The Kitchen Sink Coalition.
Virtually 90% of improv is fucking garbage. This is good. It's usually bad and always narcissistic. Improv people think they're good and that people will want to hear whatever comes to their mind. They're not.
This is exceptionally important to point out while we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is where this question is posted. It's in the stand-up.
Yes.
Subreddit.
I wonder at least we need to find the other one.
If we posted it in our improv, then I think you'd see.
I wonder. All right, I'm going to do it. If it doesn't already exist, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would love a follow-up because, So, I have a lot of respect for both. So I think that
this one's crazy. Improv in a lot of situations sucks because it's all scripted. It gives you the illusion it's off the cuff, but it's not. It might be a situation where they ask the crowd to name an animal. The crowd yells out various answers, but the improv person has in mind all along the situation is going to be a lion. That lion is going to apply for a job. The illusion is that they're such a great performer that they can do anything. The reality is that they've predetermined characters that fit into predetermined situations. Sometimes it's done very well. Frequently, it's not. Improvisation techniques can help performers develop an aspect of their performance persona. It could help, whatever. Okay.
Where are they pulling that from? I don't even know if that's...
For the most part, I avoid improv shows because I've never found inside jokes about Shakespeare to be particularly funny. There's an audience for that. It's not me. Someone else says, it's just cringe. It feels like an aspiring actor's route more than a gritty comics route, grinding it out at night after night in shitty clubs, earning your stripes, so to speak. I mean, there really is. I would say all this is not untrue, that there is like a kids on a bus having a good time improv view. And then there is like Batman doing stand-up. Like, I do kind of agree that there is that image. It's not true, but like.
Let's go back to that guy who thinks that the lion clearly said gay elephant. And I think that, the scene is probably going to have a lion in it because they interact with each other. But I don't think necessarily that that's.
No, I don't know what that guy thinks. That guy's probably seen some really good improv and was like, there's no way that wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
And so he's mad at the magic trick.
I mean, if we think about like the way that Doug had talked about the groundlings, there is character work.
Sure.
There.
Yes, he's not wrong. There are, like, if you worked on your lion character at the groundlings, you are going to shove it in there, which is, not my favorite thing. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Bad improv is worse than bad stand-up.
Oh, that's my.
But someone else says good improv is better than good stand-up. I don't know.
I would.
I think it's impossible, man. It's impossible because it's so like right up your alley and how you're feeling in the moment. I don't know.
But really good stand-up feels like really good improv. It's transcendent also. Like it really goes beyond. It's about what's happening in the moment, and people kind of lose it. So I think I think really good stand-up is really good improv, and that really good improv is good.
Yeah. The same thing. It's just cornball. It's not authentic. Improv is a fun activity, but it's not comedy. It's just, let's try something funny and spontaneous. It's equivalent of someone pulling out a game of Twister at a party full of adults. Twister with adults can be fun, bro. This guy.
This was 6 months ago, because I would have said like a Jackbox game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this guy's a little antiquated.
Yeah.
Because improv people have friends and seem generally happy. And then someone below that said, because improvisers look like they have real friends. Because stand-up is writing plus performance. Improv is just really lazy sketch.
These are hurting my feelings, and and this is my subreddit. So,
all right. Well, that's maybe. Oh, here's this one. I did want to ask you this. I would argue that's because they can't do it. Making up funny stuff on the fly is hard. It's like freestyle rapping. It's one thing to rap. It's another to freestyle. You can be good at it, but you have to be top notch. I mean, do you feel a little of that at all? That like, is there a difference between stand up and like improvised stand up? If that makes sense. Like, you've seen people, I'm sure, that can do that really good. That can just riff and be funny the whole time.
Yeah, we literally just did that in the writing circle last week as we worked on riffing, which doesn't sound like a writing exercise, but it is, because you're writing from the stage. And there's little tips and tricks for making that a successful exercise. But and I like doing shows where it's kind of, they used to have a show a long time ago called The Set List, where you didn't know what you were going to be talking about on stage, and then you were given topics, and you had to like, it's like 5 topics in 5 minutes, and every minute you put a new one.
Well, I like that. That's fun.
It's really fun, and people can do really well at it, and some people really freeze up and have a hard time. So.
Yeah, interesting. All right, just a couple more. I got like 2 more here.
Right.
Very easy. Here we go. To me, improv people wanted to be actors and couldn't. And then the last one. Oh, I thought there was a better one at the time here. Oh, you're good. And then finally, because we've met people who do improv. Cool. That's kind of it. I just wanted to talk about those horrible people. But again, some of them are right, and I think it's the whole thing we've been talking about. There's no right and wrong. It's people's perspective and stuff. It's so interesting to see people's opinions of what they think it is and their life journey and how that has informed their opinion.
We have to do a follow-up episode about this, because I have to get the perspective from the other side. Like, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out if there must be a Reddit improv, right? We just have to ask them. We'll ask them and find out.
Cool. let's go to the third segment.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the third segment. This is where we talk about goings on and what we've got coming up. And, it's interesting that this was the theme of today's episode, because if we look at our Patreon, we currently have more team improvs than team stand-ups. So for as much as this subreddit was giving you guys the guff, we have data that shows the opposite. So
team sport, hopefully the team sport people might be able to win the team sport. Yeah. Very cool. What's going on with you? Anything new?
Yeah, we have tonight we have a really amazing comedian, Anthony A, who he's a radio DJ, and he recently has gotten to blow up doing the Keenan stand-up festival thingy that's been going around the country. I don't know if you've seen it, but he got to go to SNL and be backstage and hang out with Keenan and the whole cast. So, and he's just about to open for I always want to say Enrique Iglesias, but that's the singer. Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias. He's opening for him tomorrow. And so since he's back in town, because he normally lives in Arizona, we're doing a big welcome home show for him tonight at Dry Heat. And then we've got 2 shows this weekend on Friday and Saturday. They're both at 9:30. But what about you?
Same thing. Shows 9:00 Fridays and Saturdays. Our classes are about to start. Check our website. I'm sure whenever this comes out, you still have time to sign up. If not, we've got workshops and stuff. But I just finished my last round of classes, and it was so great, so rewarding. Yeah, really wonderful, really wonderful. I think that's all I got.
Cool. Well, I'm trying to think. I felt like there was one other thing I wanted to bring up besides rate and review our podcast.
Yes,
we really appreciate that. And follow it. We're on Instagram, the Goofball Coalition. I think you can just find us pretty much everywhere. But we're super happy that you're here and listening. And thanks for just stay tuned for the sequel to this episode. It's going to be good.
Love y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.